Manze, asante sana. I hope you love what we have done with our new montage, manze. We are open to more ideas, lakini mzilete tuongeze mbwembwe. Hiyo ngoma inaitwa Shika Simu, played by Zegede Longer and the Fusion Music Star. Many thanks to you for sparing your time for another classic episode of the Weekend Edition. I'm your host, Dr. Kingori. An eventful week it has been. Kama kawaida, manze. One of the highlights of the week is the attack of Baba and his team in Uasin Gishu. A few arrests have been made. Leaders from the Rift Valley, including the Deputy President, William Ruto, have apologized to Baba over the incident. Luckily, no one was hurt. That's good vibes. But one of the most talked about damages is the helicopter windscreen that was broken during the attack. And word is that it's going to cost at least 10 million shillings to replace the windscreen. Yes, a whopping 10 million shillings to replace a windscreen. We have not independently verified the type of helicopter it is, but someone who has seen the screen up close has told us it's a Samsung. Now, it has not been a very happy week in general. The fuel crisis made things worse. There was no fuel in most petrol stations. On one hand, serikali na insist kuna mafuta. It's very difficult to know who's telling the truth as a neutral party, because you would understand where the government is coming from. Waki insist kuna mafuta. Now, as a consolation, we have suffered less compared to other countries. Afghans may have all the fuel they need in the world, but they have had tougher times. This week, the Taliban banned all male government employees from turning up to work without a beard. Yes, you heard that right. Hakuna kuingia kazi kama hauna ndevu. Imagine getting this news kama ndio umetoka kinyozi. Maze unaangalia mtu amekunyoa unakosa kuamini. Saimo unajua umenifuta kazi. Hivyo tu ndio umeninyoa mshahara. Now, I don't know why, but when I first saw the story, the first person that came to my mind is Frankie. You know, haters claim that Corazon left Frankie Juhana kazi. If that's true, then Frankie is not jobless. He's just in the wrong country. I think I understand where the phrase state Taliban came from, and that would explain why Frankie hajai sema kitu since Corazon left the group. Now, what if you could use that to look for a job? Nimekuja kuapply hiyo position ya software engineer. Umesomea IT? Hapana. Niko na ndevu zimeti. But then again, what does a beard have to do with performance at work? Hata kama, basi ni in the name of the religion. I think Taliban are ndevu worshippers. Now, it has been a dramatic week. We also got to see a new definition of law enforcement in the form of how far some police officers can go to make an arrest. Mbaba mzima aliingia kwa gari kwa dirisha na akatoshea ndani. As in, how did he do it? I don't think it's about the officer. It was the car. I think that's why they call it a Honda Fit. Now, on the international scene, a 60-year-old man is alleged to have received more than 90 shots of the COVID vaccine so that he could sell the vaccination certificates to people who did not want to be vaccinated. Sounds strange, but I don't think that would have made news in Kenya. How many times have you had someone getting vaccinated for money? Hey, Buddha, unaweza nidunga 1,000 hapa tuone vile weekend. Now, we have a great show lined up for you. Our guest for this episode is the first principal secretary to be appointed as a cabinet secretary. Until recently, she was one of the longest-serving cabinet secretaries. She has been a cabinet secretary in 3 key ministries from the onset of devolution. And before that, she was the MD and CEO of the Tea Board of Kenya at a time when the tea industry rose to become the top earner of foreign exchange in Kenya. Na siyo chai ya wa Kenya, na siya Edgar Obari, na si ile ingine sisi upeleka ni ile chai yenyewe si upeleka huko nje, ile chai una get. Waziri Sicily Kariuki is in the house. Wazi. Asante sana. We have so much to talk about, mainly in her latest assignment as a cabinet secretary for water, sanitation and irrigation. Does she know that water disappeared in Umoja in the year 214 BC? What's the science of water rationing? And most importantly, what does she think of kukata maji? We'll be talking to her. We'll be talking to her in a bit, but first we have to appreciate the unity with which the attack on Baba and his team has been condemned. Let's encourage tolerance despite the different political views we may have. I'm glad action has been taken. Now your story imeisha. I'm very happy. Now a few observations I made. Listen to Baba explaining what happened on ground.
Jana mimi naona kitu vividu vyoja. Vijana wanakuja, sisi tumekwenda tu pale kwa maiti kupenda kusema pole kwa jamii. Alafu vijana wanaanza kupiga magari yetu na mawe. Mawe inanyesha kama mvua. Magari yangu inanyesha kama mvua. Sasa nakuja na hii, nasema kitu gani? Jonathan ananiambia mimi hii ni mawe yote nakuja. Kutoka pale mimi naingia ndani ya ndege. Kiana na ndege naona mtu pale anarusha mwamba kubwa. Amebeba jiwe kubwa anarusha. Ndege mimi naangalia kitu nakuja. Jiwe nakuja na kuna mahali ya kwenda. Inakuja pa. Nashangaa. Kitu gani?
Unajua I got stuck at Baba ati aliuliza Junet, hii ni mambo gani? Alafu Junet akaangalia akasema Baba, hii ni mawe inakuja. Now, I don't know how situation ya unaweza ona mawe ndio hii inakam. And I think for this, wahenga walisema, what an old man can see while sitting, a young man cannot see while standing on a tree. On this, they lied. Wahenga. Because the elder could not see what the young man was seeing, yet the elder was in a chopper. Now, beyond the jokes, this could be interpreted as trust across generations. Not to trivialize the experience Baba had or what he went through, we are glad no one was harmed. I just loved how he described the incident. Kwanza kuna mahali mpaka alitumia Kiswahili sanifu.
Kiana ndege naona mtu pale anarusha mwamba kubwa.
Yani Baba alihitajiwe mwamba. It's a good thing that Baba was with Junet. Imagine angekuwa na babu. Baba would have witnessed a clash of Ababu na Mwamba. Now, I think I can guess where those guys got the confidence ya kurushia Baba mawe. I'm sure they knew nothing could be done to them because they knew Baba akona risasi moja peke yake.
Itawezekana. Risasi imebaki ngapi?
Moja.
Na italaza nani? Italaza.
Please join us on the other end of this short commercial break for more good vibes with former CS, or water CS, Sicily Kariuki. See you guys in a bit. Maze, welcome back to the weekend edition. Maze, asante sana. Nitasema kama kawaida show nzito. We've talked about water before, but we have wished we could get someone who knows more about water juu ya kupewa responsibility ya kuhandle maji yote Kenya mzima. On top of that, she is a lady with numerous achievements to her name. Sijui kama pia tunasema to her belt. And interesting enough, tuko na story mob. Sasa sijui tuanzie nyuma kidogo, but first of all, tupigieni makofi. Waziri Sicily Kariuki.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
We are so honored to have you. Your name Sicily. Sisi tuki grow up coincidentally ni same county but wewe ulitoka kitambo. I believe nilikam kulearn the spelling ya jina Sicily later in life. I think nikiwa high school because kila mtu, and maybe you know this is right, kila mtu anaitwa Sicily. Walikuwa anaitwa
Cecilia.
Cecilia.
That was my original. My original one was Cecilia.
Oh, Cecilia. Karibu sana. Ukumbuka hizo days interesting that ulienda Kangaru Primary School?
Yes.
Mtu akiangalia Kangaru, mtu hajasoma story yako hizi jua kuna CS ametoka Kangaru.
Inaitwa Kangaru DB.
Bas, DB.
And that's where I started my nursery school. Nikasoma mpaka class 3 pale.
Yes.
Nikahama, nikaenda Thika Primary. And ever since, I was to go back again to Form 6 to Kangaru High School.
Kangaru Girls?
Kangaru Girls. It was Kangaru High School. It was mixed. Then it was not separated.
And then they put a fence between.
The fence was always there.
to separate the genders.
It was called Mecca and Medina in my days.
Ilikuwa inaitwa Mecca
and Medina, yes.
Alafu huku maboys walikuwa wanaitwa Medina.
Ndio huko sasa. Na Mecca.
there are people who assume that there are mistakes that are acceptable in someone's process of growth, right? Kama wewe after high school ukiwa campus, right? Did you have a chance to maybe slay alafu utaokoka baadaye? Did you have those moments? Ama as in, were you a survivor of such? Before you got married, ulikutana na wakora? As in, unajua wakora? As in, time yenu ya campus, watu walikuwa wakora?
That's a very delicate question. My son is here. I don't know how to answer. He can say. But let me put it this way.
Yes.
We got to leave that cycle for us to mature, because that is just how it is. College time is college time, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes, I loved a good dance, you know, like most of the people here.
Okay. Yes.
I loved going for my karate lessons, because that we must live that life.
You did karate?
Yes, I did. With my current husband. He was then my friend.
You did karate with
Yes.
your husband?
He was then my friend.
No, he was your friend?
Yes.
Mukaenda karate ndio
Tunaenda
mkaingia kwa
lessons.
relationship?
Tunaenda lessons. Pamoja, tunaenda hiyo maneno.
Now, what was the motivation ya muende karate?
It was keeping fit, actually. I love keeping fit. I do. I still do. So it was just one of those games when, you know, you are not jogging, you're not running, you're not doing this. I just found it, you know.
Karate?
Yes.
Did you ever find yourself as a family applying the need of using what you had learned?
No, never. No. No, it went to waste, but yeah.
It went to waste?
Yeah.
You've never applied your karate anywhere?
No.
So your karate ni kama vile si tulisoma pipette?
Ni vile unaenda gym tu na weights. You na lift your weight. You don't hit somebody with it, isn't it? It's for you, it's your well-being. But then defense, just in case. I'm also a Girl Scout, you know.
Na ulifika level gani ya karate?
Si kupita, amateur.
Ulikuwa tu amateur? But now that your son is here, are there instances ya hiyo two family discipline? How do you balance between a professional karate na pia an African mother?
Haipelekani. Doc,
Or
you know,
unaeka karate kando?
Doc, you know, in college,
Yes.
you find your space by doing things which you think are extraordinary. They excite you. That's why you go, you know, mountaineering. That's when you go biking. That's when you go long distance, those things. You do them at that age, isn't it?
Yes.
So for me, it was really just one of those ones. It wasn't because I ever was going to need it. I am lucky I don't come from a family that has witnessed violence.
Yes.
I couldn't therefore bring it into my space either.
Yes.
Yes, and I love peace. I'm very peace-loving.
Professor P.L.O. Lumumba was on the show. He said the same thing.
Yes.
He's a karate, I think, he's on the black belt level, still doesn't use karate.
Yes.
Why is it that the rest of us who have not learned karate ndio tunajipata kwa places where we need karate? I can't seem to understand that. I also, tulikuwa pia na engagement na yeye, ya pia, mtu wako na karate, hata hana haja ya kutumia.
Ni kweli.
You don't feel like you wasted those years?
No, I didn't.
But sometimes, hata basi inamaanisha you can have a bodyguard just as a formality.
Actually, yes.
You can do his job.
Yes.
Mtu akikujaribu pia unaweza ingia na kitenge.
Sijajipata pale.
So and you are charged with the responsibility ya maji ya the whole country. Of course you've served in other ministries mpaka ya youth pia. But specifically ya maji. Wasi wa umoja najua wana watch na tumewaenjoy sana. How does it come to the point ya watu wengine hawajaiona maji kabisa? How hard is it for all people to get access to water?
Let me thank you, Dr. Kingori, first for having me here.
Karibu.
And you know, I'm a fan of yours, and I laugh. When I have a moment to laugh, I watch and I laugh.
Asante.
But come back to umoja na mambo ya mzee wa umoja hana maji. What has happened is that over time, the population has grown beyond the investments that have been made in matters water.
Okay.
You know, we have witnessed a population explosion, especially in Nairobi. That is one. There hasn't been much infrastructural improvement, particularly in the last 10 years when water became a concurrent function. Concurrent meaning it's a function that is shared between the national government and the county governments. The county governments have hardly invested in water. Yet the population has been growing for that time horizon. And that explains why you witness water shortages largely. There's not a problem why the mzee in Umoja may not have water. There's a lot of leakage. Yani, some of it because of the old pipeline conveying water. Imechambuka maji na leak yenyewe tu. I'm sure when you go around town, you see maji inatiririka.
Yes.
But we also have criminals, you know, in town, everywhere. So that some of them actually, ndio wana chota ile maji, wana, how do you say, they cause it to be, wanavunja ile pipeline.
Yes.
Right? Cartel, there is a big cartel industry around water, like most other sectors. Na hiyo maji wanachota, unaona kuna water boozers mingi sana, kuuza maji kule na kule kwengine.
Okay.
It's, you know, criminal activity. So those three are the major factors that will contribute that Mzee in Umoja does not have water. But it's not a lost game, because by the time I left the Ministry of Water, there was phenomenal investment, you know, to bring additional water, particularly into Nairobi. We passed a law and regulations which is requiring institutions of a certain magnitude. Harvesting water becomes a mandatory thing. Sababu kikinyesha na tushiki yale maji, it means it's just, the runoff goes to Indian Ocean. And then kiangazi ikija, we get ourselves in this situation.
Sawa, na kama mnajua, ulikuwa mnajua cartels, kuna cartels za water boozers. Mbona msikuja na rule ya kuwasimamisha, hii maji umetoa wapi?
There was a solution which is IT driven, where all the water boozers needed to account for where they are sourcing the water from, you know, through metering system, but also that is monitored using an IT solution. Okay. I want to be hopeful that that will be implemented, because we piloted it and it was going to be useful, so that also we do not have water boozers by night being converted to exhausters. So there is a hygiene question that we are trying to deal with.
Kuna watu wanaweza kuwa na roho ya convert a water boozer into a exhauster usiku na mchana inabeba maji.
Wewe unajua watu ni watu. Biashara kuna wale ukiita mtu cartel ama mkora, so unajua atafanya chochote ile.
Sawa sawa. It's a good thing to actually have you on the show, because you can speak for at least 3 ministers, because you've served in those different positions. And then again, surviving in government for more than 9 years, aki ya nani, kwa kuchaguliwa na president kurudi hapo, it's not an easy, it's not a mean feat. The question is, mtu kama ajui personality yako anasema wewe ni deep state, but how, no for real, how do you get to survive kutoka hii government, urudi na uingie, okay, it's the same government, but not that many people made it from this place to kurudi tena. How hard is it to survive?
The lower you are, the safer you are. You know, because if you are just a manager, then it's okay. There are many of you. The minute you become a CEO, then, you know, your head is a little bit higher, and therefore you can be an attraction depending on how you do your thing. But I have learned that for as long as you keep to the law, it doesn't matter. Somehow you get through. And of course, God's grace. Coming to cabinet, which was in November of 2015, was both a surprise to me as it was to a lot of people. You know, because cabinet, you don't apply. Principal secretary, I applied. I went through the interviews. These are the one you don't apply.
The president decides.
You are watching the news, and he even for a moment doesn't quite remember your name very well.
You did not know kabisa that no. The president will choose you? Kabisa.
No, I knew he was going to do something the day he promoted me, because I had been told not to leave town, you know.
Was he your friend before?
The president?
Yes.
He's your friend as well, isn't he? He's our friend.
No, I'm talking about the personal capacity. For him to give you such a responsibility, you must know each other.
Not necessarily.
For real?
Not necessarily.
The president can surprise you with a job?
Not necessarily. I didn't know President Kibaki when I was given to head a very important docket. I didn't. But it's always useful, because the minute that happens, you people out here, you think it must be a connection. So, you know, I was viewed to be part of the family. In fact, that time, people recognized me to be originating from Nyeri. You know?
Yes.
I hadn't even met him, you know, at a personal level. So you didn't need to be President Uhuru Kenyatta's a close friend to be in cabinet and to be the principal secretary, because I believe he really wanted to professionalize the space.
Okay.
And that is why the principal secretary's process was very competitive. There was 3,000 applicants for 26 positions.
Oh, for the other jobs, there is over 20 million of us.
Yes.
Yes. For less than 1 million jobs.
Yes.
Na In terms of pressure ya job, uko kwa cabinet, you've never gotten to a point ya kuambia hata president, wewe pia kaa na kazi yako. As in, you don't have those moments?
You get to those moments.
For real?
Yeah, you get to those moments. And for me, the pressure has been more because I've mentored girls. What will they say? A cabinet minister who is a lady, and you walk away, what image am I sending?
Okay.
To, you know, the women, really, because we've been asking for space as women leaders.
Okay.
So it keeps you there. The family holds you there, and they give you support. Sometimes they don't think you know even your name because, you know, that's the nature of the job, but they give you space. And,
okay, nice.
Yeah.
And I think you've said something very interesting, that you mentor young girls, right?
Yes.
We have a few young girls up and a few young boys, and a young gentlemen and ladies in your process to become the CS. And for me, it hits different because najua mahali kangaru iko, right? What is the truth about your process that someone who's not started your journey yet, someone who's just left high school, can borrow from to chart their own path?
Brilliant, Tonya, a good one. You got to believe in yourself, you know, your self-esteem, your confidence, and the journey that you're walking, it's really so much about you. But on the other hand, you must be willing to drive yourself as a slave, your own slave, not waiting to be told. Meaning you set your goals, you set your targets, and you go for them. Number 3, don't wait to be patted. Nobody will pat you. I mean, it's a tough journey for you to succeed, but you must be willing to work extremely, very, very hard. I had 9-year stint in the private sector. When I left Ken Invest, I moved into the private sector as a manager, and I rose to be a CEO of an organization called the Fresh Produce Exporters Association of Kenya. You know, we were starting up, setting the fresh export and flowers sector. It grew. And that is the same time I went back to school for my master's. And it was a very, very tricky balancing act. I had a young family. I had this tough job. I'm back in school. I'm a wife. I have a mother. I have friends. That balancing act. But I remember my colleagues in class then saying, why do you work so hard? I mean, that's not your work. That's not your company. You're employed. You've got to have the right attitude to succeed. It doesn't matter that you're employed. You must treat it like it is your business.
Okay.
You must, therefore, if you look at a few things, how do you treat your business if you want it to grow, or your own home, or your kitchen? You can't steal from your own kitchen, you know? You can't steal from your own business. So your levels of integrity must drive you to behave as if it is my business, even when it's a public sector.
Okay.
Among other things that I can see.
Sawa, sawa. In terms of employment, in your manifesto for the office you're running for now in Nyandarua, you say that you're going to solve unemployment, right?
Yes.
What is it about unemployment in this country that we always talk about it just before going for office? You have experience in employment, you have experience in government. We are tired of, okay, I believe everyone is tired of people looking for jobs. What is the solution as a problem solver?
Three solutions come very quickly to my mind. One, when I was a minister responsible for youth, gender and public service,
yes,
I was privileged to put up over 2,000 circles for the youth and women across the country. And these young men, every time I go up to the village and they come up to me and say, you know, because of the circle that you put us together, we were able to save 7 million shillings, 30 of us.
Wow.
And now, while at the end we split the money, I went and set up an agrovet. Now I've employed 3 young people. Now I have contracted 6 border riders that go distributing the seeds, the fertilizers, and, you know, those materials. And I feel very, very good about that. It's a very simple solution to a very needy and weighty problem. So that is one. So I want to reinstate that mechanism because I saw it work. I've seen young men across Nyandarua come up and say, you know, I'm doing well because very little effort. Number one. Number two, I have been speaking to several stakeholders, call them investors. Recall I told you I started my job as an investment officer, wrote to become an investment manager in Ken Invest. And so I have an idea, not just a database of people that are looking to invest. A lot of professionals from Nyandarua, huge, including your own CEO from here, it's from Nyandarua,
okay,
are looking to have an enabling environment to go back, because you can't be on CSR forever, to invest. And by investing, it means I'll be employing the young people in the villages. Number 3, I've been speaking to some of the leading, again, farmers, modern farmers.
Yes.
One is the largest single dairy farmer in Nyandarua. And I've been talking to him, and he would like to set up an outgrower system. By so I mean to enable the neighborhood to have hybrid livestock that yields more milk, that it can be the outlet to market, that it can move to cottage industries. So you see the value chain becomes complete,
yes,
and it carries the community.
Okay, you're moving from the national government to the county government. Being a CS on the national platform, is there a pressure to deliver to your people? Because this is why people say, for example, on the presidential level, people have this attachment to mtu wetu akipewa anaenda kutufanyia, mtu wetu akipewa anaenda kutufanyia. Have you dealt with that? Like people of Nyandarua, hakuna mahali kunafaa kukosa maji kama mtu wetu ni CS wa maji. How do you handle the pressure na to make sure kuna mtu mwingine Lodwa anapata equal opportunity with someone who is in Nyandarua?
Is a natural phenomena, is a natural thing for you to feel the pressure to want to serve your people. That it's a natural thing everywhere, yes, that it happens. But when you're at the national level, you have to be very careful, because equity and distribution of resources also becomes one of your constitutional imperatives. And therefore, you can't deny somebody in West Pokot access to water because you want everything being taken to your village. And the reason I did 2 years as Minister for Water, I was able to do what perhaps has not happened in Nyandarua in matters water. Just as I was able to do what has never been done in Kwale with the Mwache Dam, one of the biggest dams that I was able to unlock, and work is ongoing. So you got to be careful to make sure you're still national. We call it, global national level, but local, because finally, you're going to go home.
Asante sana for coming to our show. I'm
you.
avoiding the temptation to ask you questions about the Ministry of Health, which, yes, you fought for.
Yes.
Alafu pia, in the interest of time, I don't think we can go into the Ministry of Youth, the things that you've done there, but we hope tukiweza kukupata tena, we can stretch the conversation further.
Nitarudi, wacha kwanza niende nipiganie tikiti ya nomination ya Jubilee.
Kwa ground.
There are 2 of us. Wacha niende nipiganie.
2 of you.
Yes.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you very
Wapi
much.
makofi ya waziri? Asante sana. Otherwise, next week by the tunafunga ile conversation yetu ya atheists na religion. Tunataka tukuifunga. The last time hatukuifunga vizuri. So next week, lock the date. We are closing on that. Na tuko na ma-guest interesting sana. Hata sitaki kuwapea trailer. Mnajua tukiwaambia hivyo itaweza. Otherwise, that's it for the weekend edition. See you next week. My name is Dr. Kingori.